Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be going over the real number system, and we're also going to be using illustrations to enhance our understanding of what the real number system is. So let's just get started. So let's just do a quick summary of what the real number system is. So basically the real number system contains of two parts, which is rational numbers and irrational numbers. So here in this diagram we can see that there's one section just for irrational numbers and one section for rational numbers, and inside of rational numbers there's a whole bunch of other things, and we're going to be explaining all of that in this video. And here's another chart. So we have real numbers, and then we can divide into rational numbers, and then rational numbers get divided into all of these, and real numbers can also get divided into irrational numbers. So let's first get started off with the rational numbers section. So first we're going to be talking about natural numbers. So you can see that natural numbers inside of this diagram is the red colored one, so it's the one that is the smallest inside of the rational numbers. So what are natural numbers? So natural numbers are the counting numbers. So they start from 1 and go all the way to infinity. So the first part inside of rational numbers are natural numbers, and the next part that is bigger than natural numbers are whole numbers. You can see it's the green part. So what are whole numbers? So whole numbers are similar to natural numbers, but they also include 0. So it's basically from 0 to infinity. And that's what whole numbers are. And now let's go over to integers, which is the blue section above the whole numbers. So integers include all natural numbers, and it also counts 0, and it also counts negative numbers. So for our natural, we just had 1 to infinity. For whole numbers, we just had included 0. And then for integers, we're also including negative numbers. So then we have rational numbers, which is just inside of the real number system, and it is bigger than all of these. So a rational number is a number that can be expressed as a fraction. And this includes whole numbers and integers, so including all negatives, all positives, and also 0. And rational numbers can also include proper fractions, which are basically where the numerator, is less than the denominator. So this includes examples like 1 by 2, 3 by 4, 2 by 3, and so on. Rational numbers also include improper fractions, where the numerator is more than the denominator. And for example, we have 4 by 3, 5 by 2, 6 by 1, and so on. And rational numbers also include mixed numbers, so which is basically a whole number and a fraction. So 1, 1 by 2, 2, 3 by 4, and so on. And rational numbers also contain of terminating decimals. For example, we have 0.5, 0.75, 0.2. And also rational numbers also contain of reoccurring decimals. And this is like, for example, if you have a pattern. So if you go 0.333, then 666, then 333. So rational numbers also contain the reoccurring pattern type. And this is basically all that we have inside of rational numbers. And that is one of the sections inside of the real number system. So now let's talk about irrational numbers, which is the second part of the real number system. And basically these are numbers that cannot be written and expressed as a fraction. And this includes non-terminating, non-recurring decimals. So for example, square roots of numbers that are not perfect squares. So if we took the square root of 3, for example, that would be an irrational number. And the second thing is cube roots of numbers that are not perfect squares. And the third one we have is the number pi, and some others such as the golden ratio. So these would all be considered as irrational numbers. And finally, let's just talk about what real numbers are. So we already talked about what rational numbers are, and we talked about what irrational numbers are. So now we have the biggest category, which is real numbers. So real numbers include any numbers that can be placed onto the number line. And this includes all rational and irrational numbers. Now let's talk about what are not real numbers. So not real numbers contain of calculations that do not produce real type of numbers. For example, we have square roots of negative numbers. These produce imaginary numbers, so we consider them as not real numbers. And also the second part is division by 0, and since this is undefined, we count it as not a real number. And that basically summarizes everything for our real number system. So thank you so much for watching from Try to Be Useful, and we'll see you guys in our next math video.